Before we start the meeting, a couple quick, hold on. A couple quick public service announcements before we begin. For an emergency, please note the exits on either side of the chambers and proceed down the stairs. Bathrooms are located out the door to my left, women's to the right, men's room is to the left. We allow 30 minutes for public speaking. If you have not done so already, please sign up at the podium. And I think that's all we have. So this meeting is now called to order at 7:34 on September 7th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Ventura Morel.
Here.
Alderman Coop.
Here.
Alderman Scott Childress. Here. Alderman Worthington.
Here.
Alderman Tollerman.
Yes.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman O'Reilly.
Here.
Alderman Shabbat.
Here.
Alderman Hirsch.
Here.
We have a quorum. Can I have a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting and approve same motion by Alderman Rennie Scott Childress, second by Patrick O'Reilly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Can I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the general bills? Motion by Steve Shabbat, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We now enter into the public speaking portion of the meeting. We have allotted 30 minutes for this purpose. Please state your name and address on the record before you address the council. Direct your comments to the chair, as council members cannot engage in debate during this time. There shall be no distractions when a speaker is addressing the council. Can I have the first speaker, please?
Jennifer O'Donnell.
Hello? Okay. I'm Jennifer O'Donnell. I live at 35 Hone Street. And I am a landlord who lives in downtown Kingston, which has become extremely popular. And as you know, the real estate has gotten very hot in Kingston. And I'm here to speak to you about the putting forth of the good cause eviction law that I know you're looking at. I think it's very important that you're doing that. And I was asked by Nobody Lives Mid-Hudson to speak because I am, in fact, a landlord, but also a small business owner and a parent and a taxpayer in the city of Kingston. The good cause eviction law is something I support, and although I'm a landlord, I think it's a very important thing that we maintain a stable, healthy mix of housing that is affordable, especially for families of color who, in New York State, the Fiscal Policy Institute has shown that families of color are spending more than 50% of their income on rent. And when you add to that transportation, it becomes extremely difficult for them to meet their monthly expenses and find their way to work. Which, as a small business owner, I can tell you, it has become very difficult for us to find employees, not just because of the unemployment that ended yesterday, but also because this cost of housing has just pushed so many people, and I've heard this from employees, further and further away from Ulster County, where, as you probably know, we have a 2% vacancy rate at this point. I just also want to speak to the fact that I think this has to be considered within the scheme of a full housing policy, and I know that your housing committee is looking at that, but I really urge you to continue to look very carefully at short-term rental laws that have been passed throughout New York State and which are easy to adapt, as well as consideration of what you are willing to support in terms of housing and luxury housing when it comes to pilots. I know that's very controversial, but as a parent and taxpayer in the Kingston City Schools, I can tell you that I do not look forward to the day when, first of all, our school district has to make the community whole because of significant tax breaks that seem to be a part and increasing part of what's going on in development in our community. And I saw that when I was in Ulster County government, that the IDA just kept making decisions that we are going to end up having to pay, and those chickens are going to come home to roost, and the schools are going to pay the biggest part of that. So I just want to urge you to look at this not just as the good cause eviction law that has been presented to you by the lobbies in the region, and I think it's very important, but also to look at it within a whole scheme of really good housing policy. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Bill Erner.
Good evening, Council. Phil Erner, until recently resident of Ward 5, now Ward 3. And I'm here to speak in support of good cause eviction generally. I've been out to the village of New Paltz recently. I'm following what the county is up to as I am a candidate for County Legislator District 6. Constitution of the United States does not provide a right to housing. Constitution of New York State does not provide a right to housing. Perhaps we can do that in Ulster County, but if not, we need to do that as a community here in Kingston. Good cause eviction is a step toward protecting those who are most vulnerable from losing their housing. It's as simple as that. If you don't have a good reason to make an individual, a family, a group of folks who've chosen to live together homeless, then you just can't do it. That's what our community would be saying by adopting this policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Pat Policano.
Good evening. My name is Pat Pelicano. I live at 43 St. James Street. Live in Ward 4. Just also echoing Phil's sentiments that just in support of good cause eviction just generally. As a renter, I am not a lord of any land. I, like many people in my generation, I don't know when I'll be able to own anything, just given the way that, we've been saddled with debt. So having even just a small piece of legislation to protect us from, this dark cloud of what could be, if my landlord wants to just jack up my rent because he can make a buck off of incoming New York City dwellers, then up until now, that's possible. And I've had a lot of friends that have been forced out of their own homes because of that exact reason. Even on St. James Street, I've seen 3 houses that had multi-people dwellings in them. They were sold. I don't really know what the situation was, whether they were evicted or not, whether they were renters or not, but it just goes to show the really untenable situation with housing in Kingston, as you're all aware. So, anything for any sort of security for renters is really helpful because we just don't really have the same kind of assurance that comes with owning and paying an affordable mortgage when instead we're just paying into the pocket of someone that owns the house that I'm living in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Donna Schlockman.
Good evening, Common Council members. My name is Donna Schlackman. My husband and I own a home at 38 Josephine Avenue. We're one street in from George Washington Elementary School. I'm here to support good cause eviction because I believe, as elected officials, you should too. It is a fair and needed method of increasing housing stability in our shared city. We moved back to New York State about 4 years ago, and our timing was lucky. We were early enough to avoid the insane rise in rents and home ownership, and were able to find a home in a location of our dream. A walkable part of town with stores close by, a home with not much yard to mow, a street where neighbors are within shouting distance. Heck, you can even hear them sometimes if you just walk by their house. It's a place where people look out for one another, an area with economic, cultural, and racial and ethnic diversity, where neighbors or folks just walking through stop and shoot the breeze, all of which makes Kingston the place for us, a wonderful place to live. We believe that stable neighborhoods like ours are powerful components of healthy communities. Ours is a neighborhood of old folks like me, as well as children and youth who play in our streets and come and go easily. Good cause will ensure that pickup trucks or cars loaded with people's belongings don't start appearing because real estate investors have bought up a property or two and hiked the rents, or that a landlord, for some unknown, unjustifiable reason, just wants those tenants out. Think of how the atmosphere of your neighborhood would change if rental property became revolving doors and kids that you saw daily walking to school disappeared. My husband and I were renters for the first 10 years of our marriage. We didn't realize at the time how privileged we were. We were never at the whimsy of a landlord who might kick us out for advocating for better services. When we complained about hot water issues or lights out in hallways or dirty stairwells, it never occurred to us that we could be risking eviction. It never occurred to us that what we were asking for could get us kicked out of our home, or that when our lease was up, we could not get it renewed. I cannot imagine going through my daily life with the threat of landlord power hanging out there. For the sake of stability and sanity, everyone should be assured that they are not at risk of sudden upheaval, of having to find a new place to live, maybe a new school for their kids, maybe even jobs because they don't have a roof over their heads for no good reason. Good cause will protect our community, our neighborhoods, our families, and will help ensure that Kingston is affordable for many and not just for the privileged few in generations to come. Thank you for your consideration and for your service.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Braran Ranger.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your time, Council. My name is Bravin Runga, and I'm the political coordinator for Nobody Leaves Mid-Hudson. Today I'll be reading a letter on behalf of one of our members who couldn't be here herself. Good evening. My name is Sarah Franklin, and I'm a resident of Uptown Kingston as well as a landlord in the city. Unlike many landlords in the city who seem to oppose any restrictions on evictions or rent hikes, I'm writing in support of the good cause eviction law. As a landlord of 3 properties throughout the pandemic, I understand both the financial pressures of being a property owner with all of the maintenance, utility, and tax costs that entails, and have also worked firsthand with each of my tenants over the past year and a half to ensure they're able to stay in their homes during these difficult times. While the ability to earn passive income is alluring for many active and prospective landlords, we cannot throw the very fabric of our community, an unusual one in the Hudson Valley for its socioeconomic, racial, linguistic, and national diversity, into the hands of the free market. This is no way to care for one another, no way to ensure that community ties remain strong, that children in our public schools can have the vital continuity of friends, educators, and administrators that they all need and deserve. As a landlord, I fully support restricting rent hikes and evictions without cause as a way to help build resilience in our community across socioeconomic strata. In the same vein, I want to express my support of restricting Airbnbs to owner-occupied only. As other cities' experiences have proven, homes that are owned for the express purpose of short-term rental lead to increasing housing prices, community instability, and frayed ties among neighbors. In addition to helping rein in the out-of-control housing prices in Kingston, due to the exploding popularity of Airbnb in our region, ensuring that Airbnbs are restricted only to owner-occupied properties ensures that those owners have an incentive to rent only to those they feel are responsible and respectful enough to share their own walls and roofs with, thus building in community accountability. I am proof that these are not issues that fall neatly along lines of landlord or investor versus renter, and I implore the council to see that I am not alone. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Your neighbor, Sarah Franklin. And just to echo Sarah's thoughts, beyond just protecting renters, the good cause eviction law protects ethical, responsible landlords by removing the advantage currently enjoyed by predatory ones. It protects new homeowners by reducing speculation and thus lowering housing prices. It also helps preserve the integrity and unity within communities by fighting housing instability and ensuring that no tenant will live in the constant fear of eviction. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Tyler.
Thanks, Randy. My name's Tyler Vanderhaeg. I live at 72 Wall Street, and I'm also an organizer with Citizen Action. I'm also here today in support of good cause eviction being passed in Kingston. Good cause eviction legislation will provide comfort and peace of mind at home for all tenants, especially low-income tenants and tenants of color who particularly face the threat of illegal evictions and intimidation from their landlords when advocating for the right for the safe living condition. This legislation will be critical in protecting our most vulnerable neighbors through one of the toughest times any of us has faced by ensuring that they will be protected against unjust and overwhelming rent increases and retaliatory evictions. We need to ensure that all individuals and families in Kingston have a home they can call theirs and are not forced to leave with no other options. As our city continues to grow and becomes more and more of a destination, it is absolutely vital that we protect those of us that have been here all along. Nobody should be priced out of the city they call home, and nobody should feel afraid that their landlord will suddenly pull their lease because they feel like they can make a bigger profit off of somebody else. Housing is a human right, not just something from the privileged and financially secure. This legislation will help even the rental market for all renters in the city of Kingston and make Kingston a better community for us all to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have signed up. We do still have some time in the 30-minute window if anybody would like to address the council. Jessica? Yeah. Yeah, just if you could say your name and address.
Yeah, my
for the
name
record.
is Jessica Clegg, and I help coordinate with this local nonprofit organization, Citizens for Local Power. And I
Jessica, I'm sorry. Can you just speak a little closer to the microphone?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm Jessica Clegg with Citizens for Local Power as, a coordinator with them. And I'm actually here to make a statement in another line item in this agenda about, on behalf of Manna Jo Green, who, as we probably all know, is like, Ulster County legislator and participates in a lot of environmental activity with Hudson Valley Sloop Clearwater and such. So I just wanted to read her statement in support and favor of the local law number 3 and in favor of community choice aggregation. So community choice aggregation, or CCA, has proven to be a powerful tool for community energy transition in 9 states, including New York. The CCA construct allows municipalities to purchase energy on behalf of their residents and businesses, while the utility, which is in our case Central Hudson, continues to manage the grid, deliver the power, and bill the customers. As CCAs in California and Massachusetts have shown, they can also do much more to make our energy system more democratic and responsive, and to respond to the increasing urgency of climate change. Kingston is already a leader in energy, as we've seen from their silver, status, and our hope is that the city will be one of the first to create an advanced version of CCN in New York. The bill that is being voted on this evening to pass to the mayor and the Secretary of State does not actually create the CCA, but it initiates the process. And the next step is for Kingston to produce a plan explaining how it will inform its residents and businesses about the project, how it will carry it out in energy purchases, and what it plans to offer by way of additional programs such as community solar projects or opportunities for other types of home energy efficiency. And once the plan is approved by the Public Service Commission, there will be 2 months of education and outreach to make sure that everyone in the city is informed about the terms of the CCA. And Kingston, Kingston has already been a leader and is already going forward, as we've seen, with its climate action plan, which is, very impressive. And this is just another way to give people more options for their energy and empowerment over the energy choices that they have. And also, I think, education about where their energy is coming from and having empowerment and control over that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, you can come up.
I'm standing here. My name is Bernadette Dawsonville. I'm a homeowner, a taxpayer, and a mother. I'm standing here as a mother. Basically, I'm hearing a lot of people talk about housing, and that's what I'm pleading with you all today. I'm asking. I did foster care for 26 years. I adopt 10 kids. When a kid's age out of foster care at the age of 21 or 18, those kids is on the street. Every winter, I have many kids come back. I don't have a heart to put them on the street because I'm not getting a lousy $500 a month for them. They come back to me. I'm asking if it's anything we can do to help those kids out. Right now, I have 3 young men, and winter is coming around the corner, and every winter, I got a group, and I take them in my garage, whatever I have to do to make them comfortable. It's not feasible for a young man or a young woman just started at the age of 21 to go look for an apartment. Number one, they don't have a decent job. And nobody working for $12, $15 an hour can come up with the first and the last and the security. It's impossible. We need some help, and that's what I'm pleading here today. My older man, I know I call on her all the time. I always text her and ask her a question. And that's my main reason I'm here today. I'm pleading on behalf of my children as a mother. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else before we close up, Rashida?
Good evening. My name is Rashida Tyler. I'm an advocate, and I support good cause eviction. I've supported good cause eviction since 2019, when we joined together with a group of advocates across New York State to push for the 2019 Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act. We recognized that this was a crucial piece of legislation to have intact if we're going to have any other types of legislation to protect tenants. We have to stem the tide of tenants who are being displaced. Good cause eviction does that. It does not restrain or constrain a landlord's ability to get rid of a bad tenant. if you are a good landlord and your tenant is already abiding by your landlord-tenant agreement, you're really not going to be impacted by good cause legislation. Non-payment, things like damage to the property, nuisances are all still valid reasons that a landlord can avail themselves of the court. Good cause eviction just says if a tenant is doing everything that they're supposed to do, then a landlord should not be able to destabilize that individual or that family in the community. I just want to wrap up by saying how I spent my Labor Day weekend. My Labor Day weekend started out kind of like any other Labor Day weekend, trying to relax. Saturday evening, I get a call from two families who are being displaced from a motel in southern Ulster County. They actually were from Kingston, but they were placed in southern Ulster County, and their motel was being condemned. So the family, there are actually two families, so a total of 4 children, were worried because the first day of school is on Tuesday, and they were being transferred to motels in Kerhunction or in Catskill. And there was no way for them to actually get to the next grocery store, which is about 38 miles in one case, and there was no bus line. So the families would be stranded in the middle of nowhere. And these are children who ordinarily would be going to the Kingston City School District. In some cases, we have children from the Kingston City School District who are living at the Rainbow Inn in Catskill because there's no other places within our district, within our county for them to be. And many of them were evicted not because they were not paying, not because they caused damage, but because the profit motive was very high for landlords to evict a tenant and move in someone who could pay more. We need to stabilize our community, and supporting good cause legislation will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now closing the public speaking portion of the meeting, and we now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I get a motion to dispense with the second reading of the
Motion.
Motion by Steve Shabbat, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We now enter into the report of committees, starting with resolution number 171, please.
Resolution 171 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a budget modification in the Community Development Office in the amount of $750 to cover the expense of advertising and general supplies and materials.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 172, please.
Resolution 172 of 2021. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer of funding reimbursements in the amount of $50,350 in the Office of Community Development.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 173, please.
Resolution 173 of 2021. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer from fund balance in the amount of $77,986 to cover the expense of hiring 3 new police officer positions.
On the question, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in favor of this resolution. This program, these officers being hired as part of something called the AVERT program, which I think has a lot of potential for Kingston. This program is based on a program that the KPD is already part of that's aimed at reducing intimate partner violence here in the city of Kingston, and it's been very successful. This program was first tested in High Point, North Carolina, where it reduced intimate partner violence by more than 50%. So the basic idea of hiring these officers is to work with them to develop a program so that they can intervene in situations long before they rise to the level of violence that we've seen that's been disturbing in the headlines and articles of our local papers. So I believe that this is an excellent move, and I look forward to KPD having the same success with this program as they've had with the prior one. Again, I will be voting in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the question? Hearing no one else, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 174, please.
Resolution 174 of 2021, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a budget modification in the Planning Department in the amount of $2,554.21 to cover the costs associated with the departure of a part-time employee.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 175, please.
Resolution 175 of 2021, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer in the Planning Department in the amount of $1,600 to cover the cost of overtime.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 176, please.
Resolution 176 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid eligible costs of transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore for the City of Kingston Pedestrian Safety Action Plan improvements.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 177, please.
Resolution 177 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing Kyle W. Barnett, Esquire, to execute the stipulation and consent order changing prior assessments to the revised assessments for the years 2017 through 2021 assessment roll for SBL 56.26-10-1 and SBL 48.75-1-14.1, Rite Aid Corporation, 485 Broadway, and 351 Flatbush Avenue, respectively.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to the second reading of local law number 3 of 2021, and then followed by the vote.
Local Law 3 of 2021, authorizing the adoption of a new chapter entitled Community Choice Aggregation Energy Program.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Local law is adopted 9-0. That concludes our communications. Before we adjourn, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to move to suspend the rules for the purpose of introducing a motion regarding virtual Common Council meetings.
There is a motion on the floor to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Second by Tony Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Rules are suspended.
Thank you. I would like to move that the Common Council return to virtual meetings as allowed by current directive from Governor Kathy Hochul. I am concerned for the health and well-being, not only of the members of the community, but also for the members of the Common Council. Speaking as somebody who is immune compromised, I have deep concerns about continuing to have public meetings in the period where we don't know what's happening with the Delta variant of the COVID virus. And so also to protect our workers who are doing such a great job to make this seem very easy for us, I believe that it's in the best interest of the Common Council to return to virtual meetings hereafter until Governor Hochul removes the directive that allows them.
On the question? Or on the motion? Alderman Tollerman?
Hi, Don Tollerman. So I am not in favor of that. I think that there's a great value to us being in person. Tonight, for instance, I made a connection with virtually every member of the council and others in attendance at the meeting, and I think that matters. I think that we're here, when we convene by Zoom, there's something important that's missing. There's the nuance, there's the human interaction, there's the body language, and And it's an important form of communication that helps us, as a deliberative body, come to, good discussions. And so, I think that we should take all necessary precautions with masks and distancing and continue to meet in person.
Thank you. Anybody else? Alderwoman Hirsch?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say that while the Governor Hochul has given us the flexibility to meet virtually, I don't see that here in the City of Kingston we need to do so just yet. Our municipal city government offices are open to the public. We're still expecting our city employees to be at work, utilizing masking and social distancing rules. And so I'm not in favor of going back to a virtual meeting. Also, our county commissioner of health has not made a statement as such that we should be doing so. Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, you're right. There was no second. So there was a motion. Thank you, Rennie. There was a motion to return to virtual. Is there a second? Second by Doug Coops. Entering back into discussion. That was my mistake. Thank you. Any more discussion? Hearing no discussion. Alderman Patrick O'Reilly.
Hi, Patrick O'Reilly. The council should meet in person whenever we possibly can. And there's lots of reasons for that. But one of the most important reasons is because we're elected by the people of our neighborhoods to do this job. Now, can we do it virtually? We can do it virtually. Is it as effective? No. Has the council lost something? I believe we have. We're losing the bonds. We're losing the ties. We're losing a lot of things that good government needs to function. We should, those interpersonal ties that we have with our community, our people that elected us, those ties happen face to face, in the grocery store, other places, on the street. I think I think one of our big jobs is to actually meet and let people come see us and hear what's going on and things like that. Now, if you are unable to do that because of a health reason, well, there's options too. There's you can take a leave if you need to, things like that. But the show should still go on. We should still be coming every day. We're making our kids go back to school, right? Our little children going back to school in our town here tomorrow. And they're all going to be there with their masks on, trudging through this terrible time like brave little soldiers, but we're not going to do that. I don't know. It doesn't sound. I think we should be trudging through just like everybody else. We're going to make our city employees go to work. I see them out there working today. I saw them in the streets. And we're not coming in? I don't know. I don't think that looks good. And I'm not just talking about looks. I'm saying we can do this like they're doing it, with their masks on, in a healthy way. If you're any way compromised at all, don't come in. Stay home. I feel for you. I mean, but that's no reason to stop government from moving on. So I'm a no. Thank you.
Anyone else in the discussion? Alderman Tony Davis.
Alderman Tony Davis here. I think good reasons on both sides of this. And I was leaning one way, did not lean, and leaning another way. But as Alderman and Patrick O'Reilly stated, we're having our students come back, and me included, tomorrow, and that we're having them come into school and, practicing the mask, practice the social distancing, et cetera, et cetera. We do have our city employees coming back, doing a job, as I've seen today. They're out there. And so I would be in favor of this, and of coming back in, but we would have to do more. I would suggest we have more precautions. And, when we go to, I go to my doctor's office, whatever, and, every other seat is taped off, or, we have to measure that out. And so would that mean less people here and be able to come into the meetings? Probably, because you're not going to have as many seats. But if we are going to go this way, and we're going to come back in, and not only with the mask and us trying to practice social distancing, but we got to make sure the constituents, the people who are coming to visit in here, and need to be distanced apart from each other. So if that's something that could be done here in City Hall, I'd be in favor of coming back in live. But if that cannot be done, then I'm going to be I won't be in favor of this. I would be changing my vote then and to just going remotely. Because I'm not concerned so much about myself. I mean, I'm practicing, trying to stay away, wiping my hands after, talking to people, contact. But my concern is that we have so many, people, visitors to the City Hall, and this, even when we have our common council meetings, et cetera, and just not sure who that person, if somebody is going to be positive. And I just don't want to bring that back to my family. And that's my concern. I don't want to bring that back to my household and then have to go through those things. So if we can do more precautions, I'll be in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rennie Scott Childress, and then Steve Shabbat. Rennie?
Thank you. I hear what Alderman O'Reilly is saying, but he referred to what we do as a show. And if you think of the show Hamilton, it appeared on Broadway for a long time, and recently it was on television. So shows can be presented in different media. We saw when we went online that we had a lot of participation. We had as much participation online from the public at large as we do here in the Common Council chambers. And so the other side of that is that while I agree it's much better to be in person, believe me, I understand that as a professor or teacher. There's something very powerful about being, in the same room with other people. However, in this age of the Delta variant and the possible new variants that we see coming along, we have to realize that we have a population here of people who are vulnerable to COVID. So like I noted, I am, in fact, immune compromised, and I'm very concerned about being here. I'm concerned about other members of the Common Council who fit into that same category. I'm concerned about members of the public who won't come because they're concerned about being immune compromised. We've also seen that the Delta variant has been able to break through people who have been vaccinated. We've seen my mother-in-law, for example, in her facility where she lives. Somebody who was vaccinated came in, had in fact contracted COVID, spread it to 20 or 30 people, and 2 of the people there died. So if we die, we're not participating in any of this. I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but it's very clear in a nation that's lost something like 700,000 people to this disease, I think that it's better to err on the side of caution. It's better to err on the side of spending another 2, maybe 3 months going virtual so that we protect ourselves and protect those who look to us to provide the functioning of government.
Thank you. Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. Obviously, like everybody else, I have a lot of mixed emotions about this topic. I've certainly given it some thought. If I had my druthers, certainly I would rather sit here with everybody and have a meeting and look everybody in the eye while we're talking. The only thing I will, Patrick makes a lot of good points. The only thing I'm going to say about that, I really don't feel like I've lost touch with my constituency when we were having virtual meetings. I mean, I still get a lot of phone calls. People call me pretty much every day about one thing or another. So, we haven't lost that communication. And truthfully, I never see a lot of my constituents that they don't come to see me sit here. They'd rather talk to me. Calling me on the phone is a better opportunity for them to talk to me. So all things considered, there are some risks involved in sitting here. I think we can all acknowledge that. That's why everybody's wearing masks, and that's the way it is. But as Rennie says, and I say it all the time, I would rather err on the side of caution. We're not casting a vote to do this forever. I mean, I think we can vote on this, every month as more information comes in, and make more informed decisions. When people make decisions that are certainly more knowledgeable than I am about spreading the disease and not spreading the disease, and when it's safer to have meetings, I don't feel qualified to make those kind of decisions. I would vote in favor, temporarily to go back to the virtual meetings.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for a vote. If you could raise your hands just so I could make sure I get the count right. All in favor of returning to virtual meetings? That's 5 votes. All opposed? So the opposition votes were Michelle Hirsch, Patrick O'Reilly, Don Tollerman. Tony, I'm sorry.
So I'm going to be in favor of going back if we can't, if it's no discussion about this more safety precautions. So
I don't have the answers to that. So then it's 6 in favor, 3 Don Tollerman, Patrick O'Reilly, Michelle Hirsch opposed. We will be back to virtual tomorrow for our finance and audit meeting then. So thank you very much. And yes, we can bring this back up to discussion and vote next month. Tony?
So, Madam President, so all the meetings going forward are going to be virtual?
Council meetings going forward will be virtual. Yes.
Committee meetings?
Yes.
So we will need that script again?
I'll send that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else before we close the meeting? Alderwoman Hirsch?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I would like to close in honor of Mark Hallwick, a former Ward 9 resident who passed away on August 30th at the age of 37. Very tragic young life lost. He grew up in the city of Kingston, and he worked for the New York State Assembly for 16 years. And he also at one time was a candidate for alderman for Ward 9, and he is survived by his parents, Mark Hallwick Sr. and Darlene Hallwick, his wife, Sally Hallwick, and stepdaughter, Dorothy O'Callahan. Thank you.
Alderman Tony Davis.
Yes, Madam President, thank you. I'd like to close the meeting in honor of my uncle, Eddie Kifkart, real name James, but everybody knew him by Eddie or Uncle Ed, and who entered into eternal joy on August the 20th, 2021, born in Glasgow, New York. Him and the rest of the family's so proud that they always mention Glasgow all the time, how they were born in Glasgow. And on April 28th, 1936, the son of the late George and Esther Kifkart, Eddie was an active and dedicated member of St. Mark's Chapel AME Church, and made a dedicated member to his passing. He was the owner of Eddie's Kifkart's Auto Body Shop located on Albany Avenue in Kingston, New York, and was awarded the Irishman of the Year in 1977. After his retirement, he devoted his time to his wife and family. Eddie loved being sharp-dressed and never without quarters, a jingle in his hand. So if anybody ever met my Uncle Eddie, he was a sharp-dresser and always had quarters in his pocket, jingling. He's always generous to others, and you never knew where he would grace your presence. Eddie also loved boxing and was a boxer in his youth. His favorites were Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. He also enjoyed the music of Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, as well as a good piece of hot fried chicken, pig feet, and pork. Yes, we can all attest that. If Uncle Ed came to your house for a party, before the chicken was even done, he was already putting his hand in the plate. And Eddie preceded in death by his beloved wife of 53 years, our Aunt Eleanor Neal Cathcart, his parents, sisters Naomi Strong and Estelle Knox, and brothers Marshall, Mason, Melvin, and Jean. He leaves to cherish his brother, and cherish his memory, his son, cousin Jimmy and Cathcart, his sister Dorothy Broadhead, Aunt Dot from Kingston, and Dolores and Mewborn, Aunt Bunny from Brooklyn, New York, and his brothers, my father-in-law, George Jenny Cathcart, and Uncle Will Melrose Cathcart, and Larry Cathcart, all from Kingston. So we're going to miss Uncle Ed, but he's at peace now, and he's with Aunt Eleanor, and he's probably eating a nice hot piece of chicken right now. Thank you.
Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. I'd like to close in memory of two individuals. First is Bernard Matthews. If you've served on this council for any length of time, you know Bernie. Bernie was at pretty much every meeting we had, committee meetings, council meetings, everything. And Bernie wasn't afraid to put his 2 cents in. Bernie could be opinionated, but you know he had a lot of knowledge about Kingston. I love to just talk to Bernie about downtown Kingston. You know, we have a lot of memories down here together. Bernie grew up here, lived here all his life. He was a teacher, business owner, served on numerous city committees. I miss having Bernie here. I really liked having him around. So I'm going to miss him anyway. The other one is Amelia Kirschner. Amy didn't live here all her life. She was born in Dutchess County, went to Vassar College. She has been hugely active in the Kingston community pretty much since she came here. She's married to Lou, who was the county treasurer for I don't even know how long. I couldn't keep track. The two of them had businesses together. They were always out in the public, volunteering, doing things. Amy was with the Rear Center. She's out every day doing something. Such a giving person. And her son is one of our city court judges, Phil Kirschner. So she leaves behind her husband, Lou, sons Phil and Alan, and 3 grandkids. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry to hear about all those losses. Rennie Scott Childress? And Kirschner. Anybody else before we adjourn? Steve?
Yeah, actually, I just want to make note. I'm not prepared to make any kind of speech, but I just heard this morning Mary Alice Cahill passed away today. Again, if you've been here any length of time, you remember Mary Alice sitting at the desk downstairs in the mayor's office. A very vocal person, raised a large family, but her obituary is not it, so I really can't go into detail. I just thought I'd pass this along to folks who know her.
Thank you. And on Saturday is the 20th anniversary of September 11th, so I hope everybody has something to reflect, or takes a moment to reflect on that day 20 years ago. Rennie?
Well, speaking of that, I hope everybody saw the email that the Kingston Fire Department will be leading a commemoration at 8:30 that morning at Fireman's Park, which is right there across from CVS on Washington Avenue. So I strongly encourage everybody to attend. It starts at 8:30 Saturday morning.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Patrick O'Reilly, second by Tony Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on October 5th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Thank you and have a good night.